story, it just came really, like, it was natural to me. It's just, I felt for it very easily.
Yeah, I mean, although we cast her because she's a very good actress, but the way she responded to the story make us feel that she was right for the part.
And what about the other actors? How did you go about casting for that?
Well, Rio, he's the most famous actor in the cast. No, actually, the most famous actor in the cast is a guy who plays a boyfriend who is complaining about having too many people staying at her girlfriend's place. But he has a very small part of it. But other than that, Rio is quite famous. Is he?
Yes.
And I really loved him, really immediately with Gabriel. And he just wanted to play the part of the guy who picked up the chair because he was too busy. And his dates, his schedule would not match. But we couldn't find anyone, and we started to set our mind on him for Akira. And so I convinced him, and then they did some work and they worked out the schedule. But really, when we saw him, the thing is, in Japan, most of actors you see grow up in boys' band on MTV. That's on MTV Japan. Yeah, I swear. It's like the first meeting I had was with this kid who went with all his entourage, and we just landed in Tokyo, and I was exhausted, and we went to this completely random room, and I was with my people, he was with his people, and we started to, and it was this kid who was like barely 18, and apparently very popular there. And he just had done a movie with Clint Eastwood about the war in Japan, and he was starting to criticize the screenplay and as an attitude, and I said to myself, what are you talking about? You said like 6 months ago you were a backup singer in a boys band. You have like such a deep opinion of everything. So it's a little bit the situation in Japan with the young popular actor. You were not in a boys band.
Even though the movie is so specific to Tokyo, the city, there's something, I think, very universal about the idea of a young couple coming to a strange city that I can relate to. I think we all noticed that one of the main characters is a filmmaker, and I wonder how much of your sense maybe of coming to Paris as a young man.
Well, when I went to Paris, I was coming from Versailles, which is very close, so it's different. And the story was written already by Gabrielle Bell. So, and she had talked about, she was talking about this young sort of asshole director. So she asked me questions about my work and how I felt about my ambition and stuff to put it in a screenplay, and I sort of genuinely answered because we didn't want to make him too much of an asshole, but I guess maybe it's sincere end of him being an asshole.
Oh, the guy who played my boyfriend, he was actually copying him a little bit at the set, but he didn't tell him that he was doing that.
And tell us a little bit about the Garden of Degradation.
Yeah. Well, we thought of a movie that would be sort of vain and pretentious, but sort of charming at the same time. And so I went overly complicated and absurd in the writing. And then, in fact, I was back in New York when they shot it, and Gabrielle, the co-author and the writer, the author and the co-writer, directed it on her own with the crew. So she did a good job, right?
She did.
I did a storyboard, and she really shot the storyboard, which is very good.
At that moment, Michel was gone to New York to shoot Björk's new music video.
Oh yeah, that's good. So it's sort of vain, but at the same time, I will try to make it authentic. And I think the idea is like this young director, this young kid, he doesn't realize that his film are not very well put together. I mean, he sort of bridge the gaps in his mind, and he assumes everybody will. And since everybody is just polite to him, he assumes he's talented, which probably is what's happening with me. It's nice. You just have to believe in what you're doing.
I think we're somewhat, at least I was somewhat lulled in thinking he was going to be the main character of the movie, and then it kind of switches to Ayoko's character. Were you, obviously that was in the initial story, but is that something that you felt you wanted to kind of lead us to? It seems that your transformation kind of happened that night when you overhear your friend and her boyfriend talking. It was kind of a moment of shame that sort of is the catalyst for the metamorphosis.
Mm-hmm.
I wondered if you'd talk about that a little bit. I mean, it's a humorous film and it's very whimsical. I think there's something very serious in it as well. We don't quite know how to take the transformation at the end.
Yeah, we had conversations, Gabriel. It's funny because she wanted the last sentence you said to be, at the last minute she wanted to change it to, and I can't wait to see what's coming next. Which I liked. It reminded me of the Incredible Shrinking Man for some reason. Yeah, it becomes smaller and smaller, and at the end he sort of embraces it and go out of the cellar to new adventures. But I think for this format, the irony that we had by her saying I never felt as useful as now was stronger. And it's true, you don't know if it's positive or negative. It can be seen both ways because it's shown in a way that there is a relief, like when we see you hanging in the apartment and just sleeping when you want and doing exactly what you want, and watering the plant. It seems like a life that you wanted to have. I don't know how you feel about that.
Well, actually, we actually discussed a lot with that line. Ambitious?
Oh, yeah, sure.
It's actually very beginning in the movie, and that word actually, you can't really see it in the movie because she actually smiles with them.
No, you go.
Yeah, a little bit. But when her best friend says, "Oh, you don't have much ambition in your life," or whatever, those kind of things, then her boyfriend laughs with her, and that starts to eat her, like, and it's the beginning of the hole in the chest, kind of.
It's true.
We did talk about it, mister. Yeah.
That was funny because when we were doing the casting, I was next to Gabriel and I was trying to pretend I was very smart and I was trying, and as well to get the actor interested, you want to give them the impression that their part is deeper than it is. So I find all those like deep reasons, and I have no clue actually, but I just improvise. But eventually, after I have to hold to my word, so I have to make it try at least to make it as deep as I pretended it was.
Well, I think like all good fables, it does have something to say to us. It has something moral at its core, this idea of being useful as opposed to sort of the ambitiousness that the filmmaker has and that, probably everyone here feels. I thought it was very moving. I like that aspect of it. It took me by surprise. Talk a little bit about, do you storyboard a film like this from beginning to end, or just?
No, I mean, in a movie like that, I would just storyboard what needs to be done with special effects, or if it's an action sequence, but like when it's acting, I'm as big as possible to leave the room for the actor. You feel